Underground Experiments here. I'm sitting here with Grandmaster Caz, Mr. Casanova Fly. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm good.
So how many edibles have you tried so far?
About 4 so far.
4? How are you feeling?
So far, how you
I'm
feeling,
good.
Greg?
I'm good. I'm good. You know.
But
It's really about, tasting them.
No,
Then it
absolutely.
is, trying to, because I'll get fucking blasted.
Oh, hell yeah. Do you have a
Yeah,
favorite
absolutely.
so far?
Yeah, so far the nuts, man.
Oh, yeah. Those nuts are
absolutely.
good.
Yeah,
these ones?
those are good. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are delicious, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Nice and spicy. They got that kick to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, definitely. And I love peanuts, all kinds, different kinds. I eat them a lot anyway. So
Absolutely.
for that, that's my favorite so
for
far.
them to be medicated.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot. There's some other things to see and to taste yet still. So,
Absolutely.
but so far the nuts are.
Nice.
Well, I think that people need to learn start low, go slow.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Very
what I've
important.
heard since I've been here.
Like start low, go slow. Seriously, if you're gonna experiment with edibles, you don't need
For
200
sure, for
milligrams.
Exactly,
You know?
exactly. It's like, people back in the days experiment with mushrooms
Oh,
and stuff
yeah.
like that, and
Right.
putting them in stuff, and you just, oh wow.
Yeah.
You see what happens then.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing with this, man. But yeah, it's definitely a cool way. To for people to ingest cannabis.
No,
man. That's
absolutely.
period, man. That's what it's about.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
And we're here to educate, number one. And speaking of educate, on vapegoods.com, if you type in educate, you get 50% off all your vape goods. So speaking of vape goods, we got a little gift for you.
Wow.
I want
Yeah.
you to open this up.
All right, cool.
Go ahead and rip that thing open. This is for you.
Little vape kit for you
From
Vape
Jared
Goods.
on Vape Goods,
Yes.
Underground Experiments Radio.
It's a really nice kit.
And
What-
we have,
What's
two
inside?
smaller cases we're going to be raffling off later.
Wow. See this, guys?
That's right.
Nice. Got a
Now
nice
tell
little
me,
chamber.
what everything is in here. 'Cause
What we got here? Well, this is the done data of all batteries.
Yeah, that
I'm
thing
here
is
to
gonna
tell
last you a long time.
This will last a long time. This is called a tickler. This is very dope. Look at that. Ooh,
Yes,
this
the
this
tickler.
new. You just got the
Yes,
you
it
just
is.
got the vape goods. Boom. And then this is gonna go right on there. You're gonna put your concentrates right here like this. This is a heavy duty pen. I mean, this is
But
no
it's
bullshit.
so
It's
easy
not
to
gonna break
use.
in your pocket. We got a charger, a USB charger for it. You're on your computer. You need to just charge up your vape pen.
Wow.
And also we got an extra attachment here that we're gonna show. Okay, Vape Goods does not play around. 50% off. Go to vapegoods.com.
Yes.
Type in educate because that's what we're here to do at Underground Experiments.
Right, live up here at the Munchie Cup.
And ladies, this is not what you think it is. Okay.
This
So
is not the
please.
French
Yes,
tickler.
settle down.
All right.
It's called the tickler.
Thank you,
It's
guys.
just an honor to
Absolutely.
talk to you.
man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Let's talk about some music.
Yeah, man. So I hear you actually do some like hip hop tours up in New York.
Well, basically, I've been doing that for 12 years. It's
Okay.
called Hush Hip Hop Sightseeing Tours. And what we do is we put people on a bus in Midtown Manhattan, and then I take them up to Harlem
right.
and to the Bronx. And along the way, I'm showing them historical sites.
Awesome.
And hip hop historical sites and some
Really
historical
cool.
sites in
Sure.
the neighborhood. Period. And playing music, you know what I mean?
awesome.
And it's teaching them about the culture of hip hop.
Definitely.
So I've been doing that for 12 years now, man. We're still going strong.
The legend.
Oh man, we love it. And every now and then you'll see another hip hop legend or luminary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Curtis Blows worked with us. Cool DJ Red Alert worked with us. Members of different groups. Raheem from the Furious Five, Mike C from the
Absolutely,
Furious Four.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? They've all worked with us on the tour, but basically I'm Big Papa.
You
know
are.
what I
That's
mean?
right.
You come on the tour 9 times out of 10, you don't come with me, but we enjoy, celebrating the culture of hip hop and spreading the knowledge of it, you know what I mean, to other people. That's why I do it. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Yeah, I get paid to do it, but I've rode with this thing since it was an experiment. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And we just kept this thing grassroots, you know what I mean? And
Because I've heard you were one of the first to do DJ and MC abilities, like on stage.
yeah, but you know what I mean? In an interview, somebody asked me about that, and yeah, I responded. But it's kind of grown, and people kind of use it as a tagline, you know what I mean? The first simultaneous DJ, and I never meant it to be that.
Right, you were just trying new things.
Yeah, and there might have been somebody trying it or doing it, but I never saw them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that wasn't like really my tagline.
Right.
DJs that were disco DJs before the actual hip hop DJs. Were more call and response. DJs like Hollywood mastered the call and response, and he would have his little taglines and say things and have the crowd say it back. And basically, that's kind of the foundation of a lot of hip hop MCing.
Right.
You know what I mean? That crowd and response. You know what I mean? Except ours is a little more raw, hardcore. It's more about rhyming and lyrical ability.
Absolutely.
Not crowd. Participate in the culture who might not necessarily have the same passion for it as you or I do. You know what I mean? But they're no less participants in the culture. So no, do they live and die by it? No. You know what I mean? Is it something cool that they want to participate in? Yeah. So they're not you or me, but their participation is valid as well. You know what I mean? Else hip hop wouldn't have grown to these proportions. And if it wasn't a fan base, an audience, we'd just be doing it, and it'd just be us liking it. You know what I mean?
Well, I wanted to thank you for paving the way for so many artists, even like myself and Charles, to get out there and embrace this hip hop culture.
I mean, we don't know what we're doing when we do it, man. We don't know the effect, the ripple effect that it's going to have. If it even was going to catch on at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? We were just doing something that we love, we believed in it, and you know, it just was an escape for everything else that was wrong and fucked up going on. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
what's your favorite part about
Rodney C from the Funky Four.
Oh, wait.
Yo, Rob, what's good? I'm in Colorado right now. I'm doing an interview.
Underground Experiments.
All right, I'll holler at you when I get back. All right, one, baby.
Have it dope.
I be doing my hip hop tours. People be like, do you know Biggie? Did you know Biggie? Like, yes, I knew. Did you know Biggie? Have you ever met? Yes, I did. Yes, I met Tupac. You know what I mean? It's like when you come from the beginning of this, man. Everything that happens afterwards, it's like, you know, they know you.
Right?
I mean,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
They were like looking up to like
people like you.
Like, I mean, you know, just historically, you know, it's like there's a.
Man, you were the leading generation.
And anybody that got down that by hand should know everybody back here. You know what I mean? Hopefully.
Absolutely. What's your favorite aspect about it?
My favorite aspect was the golden era. I mean, well, I have two.
Absolutely.
I have two. Of course, the beginning.
Right.
You know what I mean? The birth of hip hop, when it was just starting out. You know, we were just finding our way and adding new things and experimenting.
A picture of
you know what I mean? It was. I mean, growing up in the early '70s, man, you didn't have a lot of options. You know what I mean? And music, I mean, black people, just through history, I mean, music is a second nature to us. And it wouldn't be strange to see a black person playing a piano or a horn or you know what I mean, or any instrument.
Sure.
But back during the 60s, when New York went bankrupt, and all the programs were taken out of our schools, they took the instruments away from us.
Oh, really?
We didn't have no instruments. There was no after-school programs. There was nothing culturally. We didn't have anything. So we took the only thing, and I'm quoting Lord Jamar from Brand Nubians. We took the only thing in our house that played music, and we made an instrument out of it, and that's the turntable.
Nice.
Damn.
Okay. Oh, sure. Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's where it came from, and that's like the essence of it. The antithesis of this was the part when we were coming up with it and just experimenting and just doing, you know, what we thought. And then the next part, like you said, was the golden era. The era when there was so many different kinds of hip hop you could choose from.
Sure,
You know what I mean? It was worldly. It was global. You know, you had funny hip hop. You know, you got Biz Markie. You know what I mean? You got that. You know, we got the Slick Ricks. You had lyrical hip hop. You had Rakim. You know what I mean? And Big Daddy Kane. And you had conscious hip hop with KRS-One and Poor Righteous Teachers, and then, you know what I mean, Public Enemy, and then you had females in hip hop, MC Light,
yes.
Queen Latifah, you know what I mean, and Moni, and all those different variations, you know what I mean?
Right.
The Chubb Rocks, the Special Eds, the Kwame's, the Dana Danes, you know what I mean?
Oh,
so many
absolutely.
different kind of hip hop to choose from, and then, you know, once hip hop became more commercialized, more financially viable, you know, they started to streamline it to only what was making money.
Right. So if I was to even ask this even risky question, who are you listening to nowadays? If you were to listen to anybody, you know, who's really killing it right now? You think?
I couldn't
Is
tell
there
you.
anybody? Is there anybody? Because I have a hard time. I feel like
I couldn't
now,
tell you who's killing it right now. I can't key in on nothing. First of all, I don't really listen to the radio.
I don't listen to the radio.
I don't.
Yeah, we do independent
You know what
radio,
I mean?
and that's all we do. You know?
And if you look at my iPod, man, I got everything that says the classic. Something.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
R&B classic, soul classic, 70s classic. I mean, you know what I mean?
I probably got
for
Grover
sure.
Washington Jr.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like,
I revert to the
Tommy
music
Hathaway.
that made me who I am and gave me my influences in music.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And music hasn't stepped up
So
since
who are some of your, like,
since, you know, hip hop started.
Right.
It's kinda
Who are some of
went
like your
backwards.
biggest like musical influences outside of hip hop?
Oh, all my early, of course,
Or, like,
Motown.
right.
We all grew up. I grew up during the '60s. I know I look like 35, but I'm a child of the '60s, so I grew up with, you know what I mean, the Temptations and Michael Jackson and that whole sound and the Four Tops and Spinners and all that. Al Green, you know what I mean, and all the music that my moms and aunts and stuff used to listen to growing up. That was very influential. And when my formative years, you know, growing up like from 10, you know, you're 10 years old and you start, you know, really liking things on your own instead of what you've been influenced by from other people. When we listened to the radio in the morning, we got up in the morning, there was one radio station. It wasn't a different station for every different kind of music.
Right.
One station.
One station.
And that station played, it played Michael Jackson, it played Smokey
What station was that, do you remember?
WABC.
WABC.
77 WABC. And they played, like I said, all the music that I lived, but they also played the Rolling Stones, they played Barry Manilow, they played Three Dog Night, they played, you know what I mean, America, they played, you know what I mean, Bowie, I mean, Elton John,
All those great musicians.
and all that, exactly, all that affected me just as much as the Motown and the R&B and the rhythm and blues, because that music was like, somebody thought about that shit and wrote it, you know what I mean? And I was more enraptured by the songwriting than I was anything else. So when I became an MC, I applied not only the funk and the dance and the, you know what I mean, from the R&B and the soul, but the lyrical, you know what I mean, ability and the songwriting ability from that soft rock and that early rock of the 70s, you know what I mean? And even when my group got together and I became the captain of the group, that influence was evident in our show. And that's why, you know, when you hear our routines, as opposed to other people's routines, their routines are kind of, you know what I mean, like, oh, that's cool, that's nice, but yo, that Cold Crush, I mean, we singing. We doing Barry Manilow, we doing Simon and Garfunkel, we doing Gilbert O'Sullivan, I'm doing Terry Jacks, you know what I mean? I'm this shit that I grew up listening to, man, you know what I mean? With a beat underneath it.
Right.
With a hip hop beat underneath it.
Absolutely,
So you heard Alone Again naturally, you know what I mean? You guys are young, but it's still, you know, you heard that song.
Oh, yeah.
But when you hear it with Rocket in the Pocket playing, with four strong black dudes going da 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 da, yo, they went nuts. They went bananas. All right.
Oh,
Those were amazing to see.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
I know it's hard to pick one. What's one of your favorite performances you've ever been involved with?
I can't call it, man. We went to Japan, man, when in '82. You know, once the Wild Style movie came out, man, and they were the first people like to pick up the movie, and we went out there. The whole cast from the movie went on tour, and everywhere we went, man, we was like fucking rock stars, man. And they would just stop in the middle of Tokyo streets and set up a square and put equipment up there, man, and set up line up seats, and we would all go and sit up there. They break dance and rhyme, and people just stopped, like the whole city stopped while we was there. The movie debuted out there, you know, and the best thing about it for me was we were exposing the whole other side of the world of hip hop. Okay, when we got there, they had no idea what they was doing. When they saw people break dancing, it was
like that's a new thing.
Look at you know, Oriental, click, click, and Japanese, especially click, click, click. So everywhere we went, man, and it was like by the time we left, the DJs were trying to emulate the little scratching that we did when we went to the clubs. And we go to the clubs and like, hey, they knew that we were in town, so they would let us get on and take the mats off the turntable. Like, yo, come on, man, put a thing on put the records on, change the needle, give him his needle, put our own needle on,
start rocking it,
and they like,
check this out.
Oh man.
By the time we left, they was trying it. So we know we definitely had a profound effect on it.
It was just that new sound that people hadn't heard before.
It was the entire movement, man. It wasn't just the sound of it. It was the look of it. And I gotta admit, when we went to Japan, we were pretty flamboyant. I mean, you know what I mean? We were a little beyond hip hop as far as our look was concerned, but we were trying to incorporate the hip hop. I mean, the punk rock. Kind of aspect and movement that was going on, like parallel to the hip hop movement.
Kind of matching them together.
Exactly.
Like
So
you said, experimenting with it. That's kind of how that came out.
And to be honest, we all followed the leader of the Furious Five, who was like, I mean, in mine and my group's mind, they were the group. You know what I mean? You had to be as good or better than the Furious Five to claim hip hop. I mean, to say that you are that group in hip hop, you got
that flag down.
Exactly. So, you know, we were influenced by them a lot because they went out on the road. These guys, they had records, you know, and when we were resistant to even making records, these guys had made records. And by the time they joined Sugar Hill Records, they were on tour with like the Barcades and, you know, Rick James and people like that. So they came back with that stage rock star mentality. So when they came back off tour, they got on leather, you know what I mean, and boots, and you know what I mean, and all that. And I'm like, oh, that's how it is out there. Huh? Okay, so we incorporated that part of that kind of hip hop show swag with the punk rock look, and we wound up like a hybrid between the Furious Five and somebody down in the rock scene, okay? And we did the song Punk Rock Rap, and you know, you could tell we were trying to mesh the two worlds.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
I don't know how brilliant, you know, but it just came natural. That was the thing to do. And a lot of times, you know, we get so much respect and kudos and admiration, but I mean, most of us people who are considered, you know, geniuses or, you know, whatever. I mean, we don't know what we doing. We don't realize.
Just ordinary people.
We don't realize, you know what I mean? Exactly the depth and that
the impact
and the impact. Exactly what we're doing is going to have on people. You know, the older I get, the more I realize it. Because come on, I mean, people drop before me in the street like, yo, oh my God. And I'm like, come on, man. I'm just a DJ and MC, you know what I'm saying? But hey, it's like, listen, things that people have heard, I don't, you know, I just don't take for granted everybody knows me and everybody, you know what I mean? Just as far as the hip hop community, I just try to keep teaching, you know, what's real about it.
Spread the movement. We respect that 110%, and from here on out, if we can help, you know, with anything you do.
Well, I mean, we connected now, so you know.
Absolutely.
That's how it works.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Now, for our listeners, we're gonna want to let them know what's going on at 420.
Well, basically, man, this is the Munchie's Cup, and that's what's gonna happen. We're doing the Munchie's Cup, and the Munchie's Cup is like the cannabis cup, all right, which was started by my man Stephen Hager, former editor of High Times magazine.
That's right.
And Stephen is very deep into the, you know what I mean, the cannabis movement, and for Colorado to legalize it, man, was a real big thing. And so big that, you know, he moved his cup and his energies from Amsterdam here to Colorado. So this is the first Munchie's Cup. Stephen and I have been friends for a long time. He was one of the first people to document hip hop.
Absolutely.
In a book, he did a book called Hip Hop that illustrated the story of breakdancing, rapping. I mean, each element he highlighted in the book. And, you know, that book is like it's priceless now.
Absolutely.
But later on, we lost contact through the years. He later on became the editor of High Times. We connected back on that way. And I'm I guess, Grand Marshal, Grand Poobah, or whatever of the ceremony here. But I'm just honored to be here, man.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm a smoker, man. I've been smoking since smoke.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's smoke.
And now that I get older, I realize the more medicinal benefits of smoking.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I know a little more about what it is instead of just getting high. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, and then the edibles part of it, I mean, this is something new
Just
for
taking
me.
it to a whole new level.
Yeah, definitely it's taking it to another level. And it's just showing that, you know what I mean, this is not a bunch of stoners just trying to make up excuses for you to fucking get high.
It's
not packing your pipe.
Exactly.
Lazy, you know?
It's not all about that. And if you can enjoy the benefits of it, you know, without, you know, it's not particularly you gotta light up a spliff, you know what I mean? It's, you know what I mean?
Right.
When we get what's good in it, you know what I mean, and put it in different forms that's easy for people to digest, it makes it good for you. So I support it 100%. That's why I'm here, like at the highest point in the damn world. All right.
So you're saying that if you want to put a patch on your arm from Mary's Medicinals to get CBDs for your pain, that's cool. If you want to pack your pipe up, see what Charles and I are trying to get through to people in the education part in our My High Medicinal Radio is you can therapeutically use cannabis. That's okay.
Right, without smoking it too.
Sure.
But it also you know, should be looked at as a medicinal marijuana if you're using it like that. You know, I guess with anything, it should just be used responsibly.
Well, the problem with, you know, that just being a realization from the powers that be is that there's so many other, you know, chemicals that they, you know, want us to be dependent on. You know, marijuana will eliminate so many of those things. You know, once they admit, the benefits, you know what I mean, of this. I mean, it's like if there's an alternative to oil.
Right.
Wow.
Who's gonna fucking tell you that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Who's gonna admit to that? People pay millions of dollars for you not to admit to that or ever bring that up ever.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so, you know, the same thing here, man. Nobody wants to do that because, I mean, cannabis is natural. It comes from the ground. Anybody can grow their own
just a
medicine.
flower.
You know, exactly. It's a flower. And how many different things are legal that, I mean, they're all chemicals. I mean, people put this together, put that together to make you feel this way and this and that. And what kills people more than anything? Alcohol.
Yeah.
And alcohol has been legal for how long?
Absolutely.
Ages.
Alcohol, in my opinion, man, I'm just not all that into it. I'd rather smoke some cannabis, to be really honest with you.
Right, no hangover.
Me too. I drink, you know, but I prefer to smoke.
No,
so if I could go to a bar and smoke instead of drink,
that's right.
I probably would.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully soon we'll be able to do that.
Speaking of the medicinal benefits, my dad uses it for high CBDs for his seizures out in Washington, and it's a beautiful thing that he's not having as many seizures now.
Right.
Shout out to my dad. We are at the Munchie Cup live.
Up in Aspen.
First ever.
Check out Vape Goods.
I damn sure is.
Big shout out to Grandmaster Caz up in the building.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for
Underground
chatting with
Experiments
us.
Radio.
Thanks,
Thank you
man.
so much.
All right.
Thank you so much.